Nancy, the pride of her family, was the daughter of Papa and Mama Ngozi, two struggling farmers who had given up their comforts to send her to school. Among all their children, she was the only one given the rare chance to attend a prestigious boarding school in Port Harcourt, a school for the privileged, the daughters of politicians, business tycoons, and oil magnates. Her parents believed this school would change her life, lift her out of poverty, and make her the successful woman they always dreamed she would be. But what they didn't know was that life had other plans for Nancy. The morning of her departure was filled with mixed emotions. Mama Ngozi, a frail but strong woman, was boiling rice over firewood while glancing at her daughter every few seconds. The little money they had saved was barely enough to buy Nancy the things she needed for school. Her box was filled with second-hand uniforms, a few notebooks, and an old pair of sandals. As Nancy adjusted her worn-out skirt and tied a scarf around her braided hair, her mother called her. "Nancy, come and sit down, my child." She sat beside her mother, feeling the weight of her parents' sacrifice. "You are leaving this house today to enter a world that is different from here," her mother began, stirring the pot absent-mindedly. "You will meet rich people, children who do not know the meaning of suffering. But do not envy them. Do not let them make you forget where you come from." Her father, a man of few words, adjusted his old wrapper and cleared his throat. "You see those girls who have everything? They were born into it. But you, Nancy, you have to work hard. Your education is our only hope. Don't disappoint us." Nancy nodded. "I understand, Papa. I will make you proud." She truly believed she would. With nothing but faith and determination, she boarded the big lorry bus that would take her to Starlight Girls Academy in Port Harcourt. As the bus rumbled away, Mama Ngozi wiped a tear from her face. She didn't know this would be the last time she would see her daughter the same way. When Nancy arrived at Starlight Girls Academy, she felt like she had stepped into another universe. The school gates were tall and golden, the buildings shone in the sunlight, and the girls walked gracefully, their skirts swaying with confidence. Some of them arrived in expensive SUVs, while others dragged sleek designer suitcases across the pavement. They smelled of expensive perfumes, their hair was long and silky, and their nails were polished and painted in colors Nancy had never seen before. Holding her small metal box, Nancy suddenly felt like an outsider. "What am I doing here?" she muttered to herself. But just as she was about to let the intimidation sink in, a girl tapped her shoulder. "Are you new here?" She turned to see Ola, a girl with a kind smile, standing beside her. She wasn't like the other girls. Her uniform was also old, and her shoes were slightly worn out. Nancy exhaled in relief. "Yes, I just arrived." Ola grinned. "Then we are the same. Let's be dorm mates." And just like that, Nancy found a friend. Life in the school wasn't easy for Nancy and Ola. While the rich girls ordered fried rice and chicken from the school cafeteria, they ate Gary soaked in water with groundnut. While others carried iPhones, they struggled with borrowed textbooks. Every night, as they lay on their hard dormitory beds, Nancy couldn't stop talking about the rich girls. "Ola, just look at them. They don't stress about anything. Their lives are perfect." Ola sighed. "Don't be fooled by what you see, Nancy. Rich or poor, everyone has their own problems." Nancy frowned. "Easy for you to say. If you had a chance to be like them, would you say no?" Ola paused. "I would rather be happy and contented than lost in fake luxury." But Nancy wasn't convinced. Her admiration for the rich girls grew stronger every day. One day, in the school dining hall, Vivian, the most popular girl in school, was laughing with her clique when Nancy, rushing to get her food, accidentally spilled Vivian's plate of jollof rice and chicken on the floor. The room went silent. Vivian gasped, staring at the mess. "Are you blind?" Nancy's heart pounded. I'm so sorry, it was a mistake." Vivian scoffed. Do you know how much this food costs? You can't even afford to smell it. The other rich girls burst into laughter. Lucy sneered, look at her uniform. Even the rats in our house wear better clothes. Nancy's eyes burned with tears. She ran out of the hall, straight to her dormitory, where Ola found her sobbing. They humiliated me, Ola. What have I done to deserve this? Ola sighed, sitting beside her. Nancy, stop letting them get to you. You don't need their validation. That night, as Nancy laid on her bed, she made a silent promise to herself. She would change her life, no matter what it took. Few days later, during lunch, Nancy and Ola sat under a tree, eating the gari and groundnuts they had soaked in water. Suddenly, they heard loud laughter. Oh my God! Look at these two eating like prisoners. Nancy and Ola turned to see Vivian, Lucy, and Amora walking towards them, their faces full of mockery. Lucy wrinkled her nose. Gary, are you serious? Do you know how much my parents spend on my school lunch? And you're here drinking poverty. Nancy lowered her gaze, embarrassed. Vivian smirked. Nancy, tell me, when last did you eat chicken? Or do you only see it in your dreams? Amora added, look at her uniform. So faded. My housemaid dresses better than this. The girls burst into laughter. Ola clenched her fists. Leave us alone. At least we have food to eat. Vivian scoffed. Oh, shut up. Nobody was talking to you. Then, turning to Nancy, she sneered. If I were as beautiful as you, I wouldn't waste my time eating like a beggar. But I guess beauty without money is useless. The words hit Nancy like a slap. The girls walked away, still laughing. Nancy felt tears burning in her eyes. Ola sighed. Nancy, stop letting them get to you. They're just spoilt girls with no manners and morals. But Nancy wasn't listening. Their words had left a deep wound in her heart. Unknown to Nancy, Vivian and her friends were already planning to lure her in. That girl is beautiful, Vivian said to her clique. She's just wasting in poverty. Chief has been asking for fresh girls. If we bring him Nancy, we'll get good money. Lucy smirked. It won't be hard. I'm sure she's dying to be like us. Poor child, Amora said, and they all laughed. And so, the trap was set. The next day, Vivian approached Nancy with a gift, a bottle of expensive perfume. Look, we're not here to apologize, we just think we judged you too quickly. Lucy nodded. You're actually really pretty. It's a shame you're wasting it in suffering and poverty. Nancy blinked in confusion. So, Amora said, linking arms with her, why don't you hang out with us? We can teach you how to live well. At first, Nancy hesitated. But slowly, they showered her with small gifts, introduced her to luxury, and finally invited her to sneak out with them. Despite Ola's warnings, Nancy followed them. That night, she met David, a wealthy young man who gave her everything she had ever dreamed of. And so, her life changed forever. At first, Nancy felt like she had entered paradise. David, the wealthy young man she met at the club, spoiled her with gifts she had only dreamt of. New clothes, fancy shoes, money to buy anything she wanted. Whenever she returned to school, she no longer felt like the poor girl she once was. She smelled like expensive perfumes, her hair was always freshly made, and her once faded school uniform had been replaced with a brand new one. The rich girls welcomed her fully into their circle, and in return, Nancy abandoned her only true friend Ola. One afternoon, as Nancy sat in the dormitory applying makeup, Ola approached her. Nancy, what is happening to you? She asked, concern written all over her face. You barely talk to me anymore. Where do you even get all this money from? Nancy scoffed, adjusting her new wristwatch. Ola, you worry too much. I've just found a way to enjoy life. Or do you want me to suffer forever? Ola shook her head. I just hope you know what you're doing. But Nancy didn't care. She was now living the life she had always admired, and that was what mattered. Every weekend, Nancy and the rich girls sneaked out of school, climbing over the back fence to meet older men who picked them up in luxury cars. They would go to nightclubs, drink expensive wine, dance under flashing lights, and enjoy the thrill of living like queens. The more Nancy got involved, the further she drifted from her studies. One night, as she was preparing to sneak out again, Ola stood in front of the dormitory door. "You are really going again, Nancy?" Nancy rolled her eyes. "Ola, get out of my way." Ola shook her head. "What if something happens to you? What if you get pregnant or get caught? These men don't love you. They just want to use you." Nancy hissed. "Ola, I beg you, stop sounding like my mother. You don't understand what it means to have money, to be admired, to live well. I am no longer a poor village girl. I am different now." Without waiting for a response, Nancy pushed past her and disappeared into the night. Ola watched her go, sadness filling her heart. She knew Nancy was heading for disaster. She missed their good, contented times together. But there was nothing she could do. As months passed, Nancy became more reckless. She had been using protection before, but now, she no longer cared. The money was too sweet, the luxury too tempting. David, her main sponsor, spoiled her with everything. He even promised to take her to Dubai after her final exams. But one evening, as Nancy was dressing up for another night out, she suddenly felt dizzy. Her vision blurred, and she collapsed on the dormitory floor. Ola and a few other girls rushed to her side. "Nancy, what's wrong?" Ola cried, shaking her. Slowly, Nancy sat up, panting. I don't know." Ola narrowed her eyes. "Nancy, when last did you see your period?" Nancy froze. The truth hit her like thunder. She had missed her period for 2 months. And that was when the nightmare began. Nancy panicked. She couldn't afford to have a baby, not now. What would she tell her poor parents? She immediately went to her rich friends. "Vivian, I'm pregnant. What do I do?" Vivian sighed. "Relax. We've all been there before. Just go to our usual doctor. He'll handle it." That night, Nancy and the girls sneaked out to a secret clinic in a slum area, where the doctor confirmed her pregnancy. But then, his face darkened. "I'm sorry, I have some bad news." Her heart pounded. "What is it?" The doctor sighed heavily. "You are HIV positive." The walls around Nancy started spinning. "No, it's not possible. I can't have HIV." The doctor looked at her with pity-filled eyes, the kind that crushed the soul even before a word was spoken. "You need to start treatment immediately," he said gently, but firmly. "If you delay, your condition will only get worse." Nancy's ears rang. She blinked rapidly. Her lips trembled. "What did you say again?" she asked in a whisper to be sure she heard well. The doctor sighed, glancing at the report again. "Nancy, you're pregnant. And you tested positive for HIV." It was as if the walls of the hospital room had collapsed on her. Everything spun. She couldn't feel her legs anymore. She sat there motionless, her fingers cold, her heartbeat thundering in her ears. Pregnant. And HIV positive. How? How had she ended up here? She thought about all the warnings Maman Ngozi had given her before she left for school. Don't follow bad friends. Focus on your studies. Remember who you are, her mother had said. Now she was here, lost, broken, and scared. Despite the doctor's warnings, Nancy was desperate to erase the pregnancy. She couldn't imagine being a mother. Not now. Not like this. There was only one person she believed would understand, David. David, the one who called her his queen, who bought her perfumes and took her to fancy hotels. He had promised her the world. She ran to his house, tears in her eyes, holding her handbag tightly against her chest like a wounded bird seeking shelter. When David opened the door, he was shirtless and holding a drink. His face turned sour the moment he saw her. "What are you doing here?" he asked, stepping aside lazily. Nancy entered quickly. "David, here please. I need you." He scoffed. "Need me? For what?" She swallowed. I'm pregnant. And the doctor said I have HIV. David stared at her blankly, then chuckled darkly. "You're serious?" She nodded slowly, tears falling. Then, the chuckle turned into laughter. "Cold. Cruel. Heartless. Do you expect me to take responsibility for your stupidity?" he sneered. "Get out of my sight and go deal with your problems." Nancy's heart cracked. "David, you said you loved me," she whispered, her voice breaking. He smirked and turned away. "That was before. Now, you're just another girl I used and discarded." She stepped closer, her voice desperate. "But you gave me HIV." David turned sharply, eyes burning. "The only thing I can do for you is give you money, as usual, to get rid of the baby. And as for the HIV, I'm not the only man you've laid with. Go look for who infected you." He opened the door and pointed outside. "Get out." Before she could protest, he pushed her out and slammed the door behind her. Nancy stood there in the hot sun, her body trembling, her soul shattered. With nowhere else to go, she ran to Vivian and the other girls. They sat under a shaded spot on campus, laughing and snapping pictures. Nancy knelt beside them. "Please. I need help. The doctor says it's risky, but I can't keep this baby. I'm scared." Vivian rolled her eyes, not even lowering her sunglasses. "Babe, you're making too much drama. Just do it. There's like a 50% chance you'll be fine." Nancy's hands shook. "But what if I don't make it?" Amora scoffed, tossing her braids. "Oh please. You're not the first girl to get careless and get pregnant. Just get rid of it, or are you planning to become a dropout with a baby on your back?" Lucy added without looking up from her phone, "This your problem, go deal with it and leave us out of this stress, please." Nancy stared at them, her heart sinking with every word. It hit her like a thunderclap, these girls were never her real friends. They only laughed with her when the drinks were flowing and the money was plenty. But now that she was drowning, not one hand reached out to save her. She felt completely alone. Still, desperate and afraid, she went ahead with the abortion against the doctor's advice. That was when everything spiraled out of control. There were complications. Terrible ones. The bleeding wouldn't stop. The pain was unbearable. Her vision blurred. The next thing she knew, she was waking up in a hospital bed, pale and weak, machines beeping slowly beside her. The rich girls? They had vanished. Gone. The school authorities were notified. When they confirmed the abortion and the HIV diagnosis, they expelled her immediately. Then came the worst part, her parents were called. When Mema Ngozi entered the hospital room and saw her daughter, she screamed and collapsed. The nurses rushed to her side. Papa Ngozi stood frozen, his hands shaking, eyes wide with disbelief and pain. "Nancy, why?" he muttered. Nancy looked at them through tearful eyes. "Mama. Papa," her voice was weak. "I was carried away. I wanted an easy life, but I destroyed myself." Tears rolled down her cheeks as she coughed. "Please, forgive me." Her mother fell to her knees, clutching her daughter's hand. "My child. My baby. Why didn't you listen? We didn't have much, but we gave you love. We believed in you. Now who would train your little siblings?" Her father turned away, burying his face in his hands. Nancy looked up at the ceiling, her voice fading like the final flicker of a candle. "Tell my story to other girls. Let them learn. Let them know that not all that glitters is gold. Let them know that bad friends, they will never care about you in the end." Her voice dropped to a whisper. Let them be content with what they have. Then, with her mother's tears soaking her hand and her father weeping silently, Nancy breathed her last. The once beautiful, bright, and ambitious girl faded away, lost to her own choices. The moral lesson of this story is, young girls, beware. The love of money can lead to destruction. Not every shiny life you see is worth following. The friends who push you into darkness will never pull you out. Listen to the voices of those who love you, because those who don't love you wouldn't care about you or what you do. Be content with what you have. There is no shortcut to a good life. Don't let your story end like Nancy's. If you learned something from this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support means a lot to me.